4 ingredient gluten-free cookies that take about 5 minutes of prep time? Sign me up. I'm Jamie with SavorySaver. I share gluten-free recipes, tips, tricks, and resources to make your gluten-free lifestyle easier. So please consider hitting subscribe and let's get started. So today we are making 4 ingredient gluten-free almond flour shortbread cookies. This is a King Arthur baking recipe. It only takes about 5 minutes to put together and you're pretty much done other than baking them, which is great. So you want to start with a baking sheet, and I have mine lined with a piece of parchment paper, but it also says you could use an ungreased cookie sheet. If you use parchment paper, the cookies are going to cool completely on the pan and parchment paper. And if you use an unlined, ungreased cookie sheet, then you're going to let them cool for 2 or 3 minutes and then take them off of the cookie sheet and put them on a wire rack to completely cool, because I guess they do tend to stick as they cool. So let's put this off to the side. Since these come together so quickly, I'm going to turn my oven on to 350 degrees Fahrenheit so it's ready to go when we're ready to put them in there. Now let's add our ingredients and get these cookies made. I'm going to start with 1 cup of almond flour. To that, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar. There's number 3. We're going to add 3 tablespoons of softened butter, and this butter is salted, so I'm not going to add any salt, and that's going to keep me at the 4 ingredients. If you have unsalted butter, just add a little pinch of salt to the ingredients and make yours a 5 ingredient recipe. We're also going to add a ½ teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm going to add a little bit more just because I don't think I had a full ½ teaspoon. Now we need to mix everything together until it's cohesive and in a dough form. And if your butter is softened, that really shouldn't take a whole lot of effort. And I've got my spatula here, and I'll move to a spoon or something, or my hands if I need to. So that only took a couple minutes, and it's all one dough, which is nice. This doesn't make a whole lot of cookies. It makes about 15 according to the recipe, so that's a good thing. So A, if it's not any good, I'm not out a whole lot of ingredients. And B, it gives me enough time to get through it before they start drying out. This recipe also says they're good for about 7 days in a sealed container at room temperature, or you can freeze them. So those are both 2 nice things to note. Put this to the side. So now we gotta get our cookies formed. It says to make them in 1-inch balls, which is about a teaspoon. And I don't have a cookie scoop that small. The smallest I have is about a tablespoon. So I'm gonna try it with my teaspoon and see how it comes out. I'm not gonna get perfect balls, so I may have to go back through and just give them a quick hand roll. So I think what I'm gonna do is measure them all out, and then I'll go back through and give them a quick roll back into a ball shape. All right, so that would be 15 cookies, and I obviously still have a bunch of dough left, so I'm gonna go back through and make everything just a little bit bigger. So I'll probably try to add about ½ teaspoon to each one, and we'll see if that balances it back out. Okay, so this is closer to probably about 2 teaspoons per cookie. I'm gonna roll them out into balls, which happens really easy. So I'm gonna do that and spread them about 1.5 inches to 2 inches apart. Right now, if you're familiar with peanut butter cookies, you always do a crosshatch with those, and we're gonna do the same thing here. You wanna press them down till about they're a 1/4 inch thick. When you lift up on your cookies, the fork wants to stick in them and lift up the cookie, but if you press it down and then slide it back, then the tines will slide right out. Okay, so our cookies are all cross-hatched, and now we just want to pop them in the oven, bake them for 8 to 10 minutes until they're lightly golden. Then I'm going to cool them completely and we'll give them a taste. So here are the baked gluten-free almond flour shortbread cookies. They baked for the full 10 minutes in my oven. They're lightly brown around the edges. I'm going to let them cool on the sheet for about 10 minutes, and then I'll move them to the wire rack that this is sitting on and let them cool completely. So our cookies are done. They took 10 minutes. They cooled for about another 10. I moved into a rack, but they really cooled super quickly after that. That's what they look like. They're not super big, but that's okay. Nice and golden on the bottom. Let's give them a taste. They have a little bit of a crispness to them. Really good texture. Little bit of sweetness, not a whole lot, because we only had like 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar in there. Buttery taste. I think they're really good. They remind me of those store-bought cookies that come in a blue can that my grandparents always had. Danish butter cookies. They kind of remind me a little bit like that as far as the texture. So it's got a shortbread type texture to it. Guys, I really like this recipe. I think it's a good one to try. If you're dairy-free, maybe you want to substitute out that butter for a little bit of plant-based butter and see if that works for you. I don't see why it wouldn't. There are some variations on the King Arthur site to this cookie that I may need to try as well, because these came out really good, so I don't see why the other recipes on there would not. Guys, what do you think of these 4-ingredient gluten-free cookies? Something you want to try? Something you're not going to try? Leave me some comments below. If you have any other recipes that only have a few ingredients that you like that are gluten-free, leave those below for me. Maybe I should try some of those out. Guys, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.